Picture this. 3 days into an ice storm, your whole home battery goes dark, right when the temperature outside drops into the single digits. You paid $32,000 for that system. You call for warranty support, and the company that built it is not picking up because they filed for bankruptcy 8 months earlier. Your 15-year warranty is worth exactly nothing. That's not a scare story. That's what actually happened to roughly 800,000 solar and battery customers when one of the biggest names in the industry collapsed in 2024. What nobody selling you a battery wants to admit is that the price tag only tells you what it costs today. It does not tell you whether the company will still be standing when you actually need the thing to work. I spent 35 years installing this equipment and taking the 2 a.m. calls when the wrong brand let a family down. Today, the 5 whole home battery systems that are actually built to last, and where the real risk still hides in this industry. The best one on this list is not first. It is not last either. Stick around for number 3. If you had asked 10 different homeowners a year ago which battery to buy, most of them would have pointed at whatever brand had the flashiest app. They had no idea that the app does not matter if the company behind it is gone. So before we get into hardware, let us talk about the other conversation nobody is having, the one about the $15,000 quote sitting in your inbox right now. A single whole home battery, hardware, and installation together should run somewhere between $10,000 and $16,000 depending on the brand. A real whole home system covering 2 or 3 batteries lands between $22,000 and $40,000. If your quote is way above that, the extra money is usually going one of 2 places: either an unnecessary panel upgrade you do not actually need, or a brand you have never heard of padding its margin because it knows you cannot compare it to anything. Ask for an itemized quote, the exact model number, the size of the transfer switch, and proof the installer is actually certified on that brand. Any installer who will not break that down for you is hoping you will not ask. We are going to fix both problems today, the hardware and the markup. Here is where the reliability actually is. Number 5 on this list, and the strongest opening pick, is the Tesla Powerwall 3, mounted on the side of the house next to the electrical meter with the black inverter housing that's become instantly recognizable in backyards across the country. This is a single wall-mounted unit that holds 13.5 kilowatt hours of usable energy and can put out 11.5 kilowatts continuously. That's enough to start a well pump or a central air conditioner from a single unit, which is more than most of its competitors can say. It runs lithium iron phosphate cells, the safer, longer-lasting chemistry that replaced the older nickel-based cells in the previous generation. Tesla backs it with a 10-year warranty guaranteeing 70% capacity retention, with unlimited cycles for solar and backup use. Here's the number that actually matters. Solar Insure ran a warranty claim study across its national fleet, and the vast majority of the batteries in that dataset were Powerwall 3s. They found a battery failure rate under 1%. That's the largest field dataset of any brand on this list, and it's not close. Most failures showed up in the first year, which usually points to an installation issue rather than a battery going bad 5 years down the road. Tesla's grip on the market has loosened a little as competitors have caught up, dropping from roughly 2/3 of quoted battery business down to a little under 60% over the last year. But by installed base, they're still sitting around 30% of the whole residential battery market. That's not a company disappearing anytime soon. The catch with the Powerwall 3 is that the battery and the inverter are built into one sealed unit. If either part fails, you're not swapping a card, you're swapping the whole box, and only Tesla-certified installers touch it. You'll also need Tesla's gateway hardware to actually run backup. And if you want true whole home coverage, instead of just the essentials, most installers end up recommending 2 units working together rather than one, since a single Powerwall's energy capacity runs out fast if you're running central air and a well pump at the same time. Installed cost for one unit typically runs between $13,000 and $16,000, somewhere close to $1,000 per kilowatt hour, and each additional expansion unit after that adds roughly $6,000 installed. That puts a real 2-unit whole home setup right around $22,000, which is still the number to compare against any installer quoting you double that for the same coverage. The same size and brand recognition that make Tesla the obvious, safe answer are exactly why it's not the strongest reliability pick on this list. The next brand plays the reliability game a completely different way. Number 4 is the Enphase IQ Battery 5P. And if you've seen one of these installed in a garage, it doesn't look like one big battery at all. It's a stack of smaller boxes, each holding 5 kilowatt hours, each one running its own built-in microinverter. That's the whole point. Instead of one big battery and one big inverter that both have to work perfectly, Enphase spreads the risk across 6 microinverters inside each module. If one of them has a problem, the rest of the system keeps running. That's a genuinely different approach to reliability, not just a marketing line. A single unit puts out 3.84 kilowatts continuous, which is modest on its own, so most whole home installs stack several units together with a system controller to get real coverage. What Enphase does offer is the longest standard warranty of any major brand on this list, 15 years, up to 6,000 cycles, and the company behind it isn't going anywhere. Their most recent quarter showed record revenue, over $400 million in one quarter alone, their best in 2 years, with a strong cash position sitting on the balance sheet. That's the kind of financial cushion that survives a rough sales year without leaving your warranty an orphan. That's the trade you're actually making with every one of these purchases, whether the brand admits it or not. You're not just buying a battery, you're betting on a company's bank account for the next 15 years. Enphase happens to be a safe bet on that front, even with a premium price tag that can run north of $1,500 per kilowatt hour installed once you've stacked enough units to actually back up a house. Each module is also passively cooled with no fans, which means fewer moving parts to fail and one less thing to maintain in a garage that hits triple digits in summer. The one honest caveat, since I'm not here to just sell you on this brand. After the federal tax credit expired at the end of last year, Enphase's own guidance showed United States demand dropping close to 50% quarter over quarter heading into this year. That's a soft market, not a shaky company, and their cash position is still strong enough to absorb it. But it's worth knowing the whole industry felt that hit, not just the smaller names. This is where the story takes a turn nobody expected. The 2 brands you just heard aren't the strongest reliability play on this list. They're the safest financial bets. The strongest actual reliability numbers belong to the battery sitting in the middle of this countdown, and it's not the one with the biggest name. Number 3, and this is the one I'd put in my own house, is the FranklinWH aPower 2, a 15 kilowatt-hour wall-mounted unit paired with a separate controller called the A-Gate, usually mounted right next to the main electrical panel in the garage. This is the closest thing to a true whole-home system on this entire list. It puts out 10 kilowatts continuously, enough for the fridge, the well pump, the furnace blower, and the lights all running at the same time. And the A-Gate controller gives you circuit-by-circuit control instead of an all-or-nothing backup. Now, here's why this earns the top reliability spot. FranklinWH backs the aPower 2 with a 15-year warranty, or 60 megawatt-hours of total energy throughput, whichever comes first, guaranteeing 70% capacity retention. Read that against every other battery on this list. Tesla and LG both stop at 10 years. Enphase matches the 15 years, but on a smaller 5 kilowatt-hour box. Nobody else combines 15 years of coverage with 15 kilowatt-hours of whole home capacity in a single unit. That's not a marketing claim, that's the actual warranty document. And this is a battery that earned its reputation the hard way, not through advertising budget. Independent industry tracking put FranklinWH in the top 10 of all United States battery installers by the end of its second full year on the market, and it's now the third most quoted battery brand on the largest solar marketplace in the country, behind only Tesla and Enphase. That's a small company built 5 years ago that's already outranking household names most homeowners have never heard of. It's also AC coupled, meaning it works alongside solar you already have installed instead of requiring a specific inverter brand, which makes it the strongest retrofit option on this list if you're adding a battery to an existing system rather than building solar and storage from scratch. It scales further than anything else on this list too, up to 15 aPower units on a single A-Gate controller, which is enough capacity for the largest homes or a small homestead running well past what a typical family needs. FranklinWH reports a warranty claim rate under 1/5% of units shipped, though that figure comes from the company itself rather than an independent audit, so treat it as a strong signal, not gospel. If you're finding this helpful, hit subscribe. I cover home battery, generator, and solar buyer protection breakdowns like this one every week. Now, the part that could actually save your warranty. FranklinWH is a smaller, less capitalized company than Tesla or Enphase, funded through venture backing rather than years of public company cash reserves. That's the one honest trade-off with the reliability leader on this list. So, here's the buyer protection detail that almost nobody mentions. Your FranklinWH warranty only stays at the full 15 years if the system gets registered at install and stays connected to the internet. Let it sit offline past 90 days without registering it, and the coverage drops to just 4 years. If you buy this battery, register it the day it's installed and keep it online. That one step is the difference between the best warranty on this list and one of the worst. Enter LG Energy Solution, sitting at number 2. And if the name sounds familiar, it's because this is one of the same companies building battery cells for General Motors and Hyundai electric vehicles. The RESU Prime 16H is the biggest single cabinet battery on this list. 16 kilowatt hours in one box, mounted indoors or outdoors depending on the install, putting out 7 kilowatts continuously with an 11 kilowatt peak for motor starts. It moved off the older nickel-based chemistry that LG's earlier RESU line used over to lithium iron phosphate in this Prime generation, which is the safer, more thermally stable choice, and the same direction every serious battery maker on this list has gone. The warranty here is 10 years, 70% retention, rated for 22.4 megawatt hours of total throughput. That's solid, not class-leading, but backed by one of the largest lithium battery manufacturers on the planet. Worth saying plainly, since accuracy matters more than brand loyalty on this channel, LG's earlier nickel-based RESU line had a real recall history tied to fire risk. This Prime generation switching to lithium iron phosphate is the fix, and it's the same safer chemistry every other battery on this list already uses, but it's fair context if you're comparing generations. The trade-off is that this battery needs a compatible hybrid inverter to work, brands like SolarEdge, SMA, or Fronius, so it's not a plug-and-play standalone unit the way Tesla or FranklinWH are. That's actually a point in its favor for a brand new solar plus storage install, since a direct current coupled system like this runs more efficiently than an AC coupled retrofit. If you're already planning that kind of build with one of those inverters, this is about as bulletproof a cell supplier as you'll find in residential storage. Everything up to this point has been about the strongest names in the industry, but this next one isn't here because it's the biggest name. It's here because it protects your wallet without asking you to gamble on reliability. And that's a real side to take, not just a compromise pick. Number one for pure value is the EG4 PowerPro, 14.3 kilowatt hours of lithium iron phosphate, rated for over 8,000 cycles at 80% depth of discharge, backed by a 10-year warranty. The battery alone runs around $3,300, and installed systems come in under $1,000 per kilowatt hour, the cheapest capacity on this entire list by a real margin. What makes this one worth including isn't just the price. It's that EG4 doesn't lock you into a proprietary inverter the way Tesla and FranklinWH do. It pairs with open hybrid inverters from multiple manufacturers, including SolarEdge and Victron, which means your installer isn't married to one brand's ecosystem for the next 15 years. That's not a small thing if your installer goes out of business, because you can still find someone else to service an open system. It also means you can size the battery bank to your actual critical loads instead of being locked into one manufacturer's fixed module size, which is exactly how you avoid paying for capacity you'll never use. The honest caveat is that EG4 doesn't have the massive independent field failure study that Tesla and Enphase have behind them. This is a strong value pick backed by manufacturer and installer reporting, not a decade of fleet data. If you're comfortable with an installer-built system and want Powerwall class capacity for a fraction of the cost, this is where I'd point you. So that's the countdown. But knowing which battery is reliable only protects half of your money. The other half of the risk is picking a brand that might not exist by the time you need the warranty, and that's not hypothetical. It already happened, and it's still happening. Remember the bankruptcy from the hook. That was SunPower and its home battery, SunVault. SunPower filed for Chapter 11 in August of 2024. Customer support went completely dark about 6 weeks later. Another company bought the assets for $45 million, took the SunPower name, and kept honoring warranties going forward, but did not take on systems installed before that sale. That left something close to 800,000 homeowners with panels and batteries under a brand name that technically still exists, while nobody actually honors the battery warranty underneath it. That's the exact scenario from the top of this video, and it's real. Generac deserves its own warning here too. Their PWR cell system uses small, rapid shutdown switches called SnapRS units, required by Code on Solar Systems for firefighter safety. Court filings in an ongoing lawsuit state that Generac itself has acknowledged a failure rate approaching 50% in those switches, with claims of overheating and melting. A $15 million class action settlement received preliminary court approval at the start of this year. If you've got a PWR cell system, or you're being quoted one, ask your installer directly about the SnapRS recall and settlement before you sign anything. One more name worth a quick word of caution: Sonnen. On paper, the specs look competitive. A 10,000 cycle warranty and solid lithium iron phosphate chemistry backed by Shell's ownership. In practice, a recent survey of solar installers found essentially none of them currently carrying the brand, and owners report slow response times on warranty and support claims. A great spec sheet doesn't help you at 2 in the morning if nobody local will actually service it. And that's really the pattern behind every single one of these warnings. It's never really about whether the battery holds a charge. It's about whether someone answers the phone when it doesn't. So, before you sign anything, ask your installer one more question beyond the brand and the warranty. Ask them to measure your actual critical loads with a clamp meter, not just read the nameplate ratings off your fridge and furnace, and size the battery to that real number. Oversizing capacity you'll never use is the single most common way homeowners overpay in this industry, on top of any markup. And this next part matters for your wallet, no matter which battery you pick. The federal tax credit that used to cover 30% of a home battery's cost expired at the end of last year. It is gone for 2026 installs. On top of that, tariffs on lithium battery imports jumped again at the start of this year, which is part of why installed prices across every brand on this list have crept upward. If an installer hands you a quote that still factors in that old 30% credit, that quote is out of date, and you should ask them to redo the math with current numbers before you sign anything. One more thing, and this one isn't optional no matter which battery ends up in your garage. Never let anyone backfeed your panel into the grid without a proper transfer switch or interlock kit installed by a licensed electrician. Do it wrong, and you can send power back down the line and kill a lineman working to restore your neighborhood, on top of voiding every warranty you just paid for. All 5 batteries on this list are indoor or garage-rated lithium iron phosphate units, not fuel-burning generators. So carbon monoxide isn't the risk here the way it is with a portable gas unit. The risk with these is entirely electrical, and it lives in the interconnection, not the battery itself. This isn't something to attempt yourself if you're not already comfortable inside a 240-volt panel. Pull a permit, follow your local code, and let a licensed pro handle the interconnection. That's the one step that protects your family and your warranty at the same time. So, here's where this actually lands. The FranklinWH aPower 2 carries the best warranty and the most whole home capability on this list, and it's the one I'd install in my own house. Tesla and Enphase are the safest bets if company size and financial cushion matter most to you. LG brings cell manufacturing scale to the table if you're already set on a hybrid inverter install. And EG4 gets you real, reliable capacity without paying for a name. This isn't really a story about batteries. It's a story about an entire industry that grew faster than it could stay solvent, where a company can look rock solid in a glossy brochure and be filing bankruptcy paperwork 8 months later. That pattern isn't unique to home batteries either. It's the same reason you check a roofer's insurance before they touch your house, or ask how long an appliance brand has been around before you buy the extended warranty. What every single one of these 5 has in common is that they're built by companies still standing today, still honoring their warranties, unlike the 800,000 people who found out the hard way that a good battery means nothing attached to a dead company. Buy the hardware, but buy the company behind it too.